Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special segment of journalism here on VR Chat, hosted by yours truly. There are many communities in VR Chat all over the place, from the smallest of things to the biggest. But one of the communities that we're going to dive into is the age regressor community, just to really know what's going on behind the scenes. I'm sure a lot of us have heard and seen a lot of stuff on social media, but as someone who understands that there are two sides to every story, we're going to dive in and see what the community has to say, not only about themselves, but also about outsiders. But, anyways, make sure you enjoy this. If you do or don't, let me know what you think, and I will catch you on the flip side.
Hello, I'm Wicker. I'm a furry. I've been playing this game for about 3 to 4 years. I've got a quite a big community, and I'm a big fan of cuddles and like watching movies and stuff. I think I've heard a few things before, but I am not very sure because my knowledge is very minimal, and I don't think I can base anything off of that. My thoughts on it. I as long as they don't harm anybody through what they do, I don't mind them at all. For now, most likely not. Depends on if I get more into it, maybe, or like my current knowledge is not good enough to really say much about it. But if if I see it fit after getting more knowledge on it, I would maybe consider it. Do whatever you like to do. Live your life as how you want, as long as you don't hurt anybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Tritanian. I am a pretty frequent VR chat player. I know like a tiny bit. I don't really know anybody or anyone who's been in it personally, but from what I understand, it's like people who act younger, if I'm correct. I tried to be very unbiased about all of it. I know most people kind of see it as oh, that's a weird thing. Don't want to mess with that. But on the other hand, you have other people who are like, I kind of like it, with the whole caretaking and whatnot. I teeter in the middle, leaning towards I don't think it's all right, but that's only because it's kind of weirds me out in a way. I personally probably would not. I feel like I would get a little too weirded out at a point. Um, Shoot. Not really. If you're playing on the VR or if you're doing the caretaker thing, please be safe around who you're with and whatnot, and that's really about it.
You can just call me Lamb. So I think the first time I actually learned the terminology for it and the community behind it, there is an Instagram account called, I think, Angel Limbed. And it's a chronically ill creator who she documents her healing journey and um, her coping mechanisms through age regression as a means to help with not only her physical chronic conditions but also her history of trauma and just documenting kind of the little victories and the happy moments in her life that counteract all the bad. And yeah, I'm pretty sure that that's where I first learned. Yes. I am small. I am teeny tiny. I am an age regressor myself. So long before I even knew that there was a term for it, I had symptomatic regression since I was, oh my gosh, I was probably very young. I remember when I was kind of going into my like preteen and early teen years, and then even further after that, even to this day, I would tend to gravitate toward like children's shows, for example. I would never watch anything on TV unless it was, on a children's show channel, like cartoons or, just things meant for a much younger demographic. So I've been regressing without knowing what it was for basically since I was an actual physical child. And that's unfortunately due to the fact that I myself am an abuse survivor. So much of my childhood was unfortunately tainted and basically taken away from me when I was very small. So it's basically just a way of trying to recreate, I guess, those kind of younger moments that I was denied, and trying to create a kind of healthy childhood for myself instead of, to try to overwrite the traumatic one in a way. But I think it's also important to mention symptomatic versus kind of purposely doing it for therapeutic purposes. Sometimes when there's a particularly distressing moment, or something scary is going on, or something that's just overwhelming, you can slip into that kind of younger mind state completely unintentionally, and it's a symptom of basically PTSD in my case, CPTSD specifically. So that can happen just involuntarily. But in terms of the therapeutic one, that's when you kind of just interact with the more gentle things, the simple things, children's shows, coloring books, stuffies, blankets, just nice and calm atmosphere to try to lull yourself into feeling safe enough to kind of explore your inner child again in a very low pressure, healthy environment. That's pretty much why I do it, and as far as I'm aware, that's generally the case with most age regressors. It's very much so, when done intentionally, it's a coping mechanism, and it can be very therapeutic. So I'm not very active in the community myself. I tend to keep distance between myself and any communities, really, because every community has bad actors and people with ill intent, unfortunately. And with the age regression community, something I've noticed and I've heard from others is that it can be a very, very dangerous place, especially online, for regressors specifically, just due to the fact that, like I said earlier, regression is an extremely personal, intimate, vulnerable thing where you are very susceptible to being taken advantage of, especially when you're regressed. And the difference that I was mentioning earlier, and unfortunately the overlap, which is completely incorrect, between the age regression community and the age play community, which is a kink, that is a sexual thing, something that I think a lot of people don't realize, and it's understandable why there's confusion about it, because there are so many interchangeable terms and kind of some similar characteristics. Age regression is, and always will be, completely non-sexual. It is not kink. It is not anywhere even a little bit sexual. It is inherently pure, wholesome, innocent. That's just how it is. Anyone who claims that they're an age regressor and involves themselves sexually in anything that they're doing, they're not an age regressor. They are using the wrong term. they are an age player. I'm not really sure what the term would be. But unfortunately, when it comes to caregivers, a lot of times what will happen is you will have people who, they want a power dynamic. They want to be in control. They want to have leeway over a more submissive person. So what they'll do is they will seek out, they won't really care about the distinction between people in their own kink community and people in the age regression community. So they will find age regressors and try to play as if, okay, I want to be your caregiver. But then what they'll do is they will take advantage of that, and they will try to implement that power imbalance, try to apply all of these very inherently damaging aspects to the relationship. And eventually they'll start asking for sexual stuff, or they'll start behaving in very inappropriate ways. Like I think you mentioned before, entering one of these instances and unfortunately encountering someone exactly like I'm describing, who they try to infiltrate this community and basically prey on age regressors. And unfortunately, and this is the scary part, I think this is more of a problem with VR chat than it is with the age regression community. But there are unfortunately a lot of minors in the age regression community. And that adds a whole other layer of extreme danger and potential for lifelong damage to the minors in that case. I mean, I think two of the most important things are, A, this is not kink, it is not sexual, it is not sexualizing children or childlike characteristics, it is purely innocent. It is literally just, we are trying to bring ourselves to simpler times, at least for a little while, just to enjoy feeling innocent again, just to be in that mind space of, I don't really care about what's going on in the outside world. I'm here, I'm present, I'm calm, I'm relaxed, I'm enjoying these wholesome things and taking time to just appreciate the little things in life. I think that's very important to consider, as well as a lot of us, like I said, it's symptomatic. It's something that we've likely encountered due to our trauma. It's something very common, I think, in not just PTSD. I've heard it's also common in BPD and DID as well, where they have a system little, so one of the alters will be the little, and serve a very similar purpose in terms of kind of regulating the others. So in many ways, it's kind of out of our control. But when it comes to kind of harnessing that lack of control and trying to redirect it into something positive with kind of intentionally trying to put ourselves in that mind space as a form of therapy, I think really the line I'm trying to drive home is it's not for everyone. It's for kind of a very niche group of people who will benefit from it. But it's important to know that for the most part, if you are talking about a true age regressor, someone who's not using the wrong terminology or anything, it's not hurting anyone. It is just a means of trying to help ourselves feel a little safer in the world, even for just a little while. So, like, you have your coping mechanisms, whatever that may be, it's literally all the same. It's just like that. So like I said earlier, I don't tend to be very close to the community itself, just due to the fact that I recognize all of the flaws, and like I said, it is very dangerous as a regressor online, just due to the fact that there are unfortunately a bunch of people who will try to sneak into the community, act like they're part of it when they're really not, just for the sole purpose of taking advantage and trying to have control over us. So I don't see myself getting too much more involved with the community online. I feel like this is a lifelong thing, at least for me personally, just due to the fact that this is so inherently linked to my trauma, and that's going to stick around for the rest of my life. But exploring it and understanding it has actually, it's helped me understand myself a lot better, and it's provided new methods of managing my conditions, because I do suffer from chronic conditions myself that make functioning very, very difficult. So I just see myself continuing to kind of explore that part of my healing journey, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I'd say if you feel like you resonate with age regression at all, and you feel like it may be of some benefit to you, even if it does feel embarrassing or shameful, because I know there is a ton of stigma, especially with the misconceptions. It's scary because when you say, oh, I'm an age regressor, a lot of people, unfortunately, will immediately jump to, oh, you sexualize kids, oh, you want to prey on kids, because they're thinking of age play, which personally, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't care if anyone says, oh, you're kink shaming. Yeah, I'm going to kink shame sexualizing childlike characteristics. I don't care if you don't like me for that. Look, it's okay. You can hate me. It's all right. We can coexist in the world, just in our own little sectors. It's you think how you want, I'll think how I want. It's perfectly fine. We don't have to fight about it. It's okay to have differing opinions. It's all right. But oh shoot, where was I? Frick, I'm so sorry. I get very distracted. But maybe oh shoot, wait, this is another important thing to mention, I think, which I forgot to mention earlier. I also think it's be very careful. Tread very carefully if you're going to try to explore in online spaces. I would highly recommend exploring on your own first. Maybe if you've got a therapist especially, it's probably going to be of a benefit to bring it up to them, just explain to them, hey, I heard of this thing called age regression. I'm wondering, if you think that could be of benefit to me and my particular conditions, my symptoms. Because believe it or not, it's actually pretty well known by therapists and psychologists and other mental health care professionals. And mine personally, and from what I've heard, a bunch of others actively support it because they recognize the clinical benefits of therapeutic age regression. And even just talking about the symptomatic versions, if it's causing you trouble in your day-to-day life where whenever you feel overwhelmed, you shut down, you regress involuntarily into that mind space, and the world becomes terrifying when that happens. It's not a good experience at all. So that's another reason. Definitely speak with your mental health care professionals about it. Try to explore on your own. And if you do decide to go online to try to find like-minded people, be very wary. Be very careful. I would recommend not even being in your regressed state at all online if you can. Because unfortunately there are a lot of opportunities to be taken advantage of. So just be careful. I wouldn't say be terrified and be scared, because it is nice to meet other regressors and other littles. Just be very discerning about who you're talking to. Make sure you know who they are. Make sure you know that they're not in the kink scene. That is very important. And I think that's pretty much all I can think of.
Hi, I'm Tiny Attitude, previously known as Little Snack, and I have the Play Space World here on VRChat. Was probably about late 2019. There was an avatar that I came across while someone was selling on a Discord, and it piqued my interest at the time because I was like, oh, this is so niche. Like, what is this? This avatar had a pacifier, but it was like just a typical e-girl, but it had like a pacifier in it, so I was like intrigued. But at the same time, I was kind of like super weirded out, and I had like my partner at the time that I was with. I was like, oh, that's so fucking weird. Like, why? It's part of my language, but I was like, why would someone have that on their avatar? But then, like days later, for some reason, it kind of just like started to resonate, and I couldn't get the idea out of my mind. Like, really, I was just like kept thinking like, oh, that looks kind of comfortable, and then I don't know. The more I thought about it, I end up approaching my partner like super embarrassed about it, but lucky enough he understood. But I was like, I said to him like, oh, remember that avatar I showed you that I linked you and said was like super weird? I was like, I kind of want to make one like that. So we are both kind of like loading avatars at the time, and that's pretty much where it started. So I kind of found some stuff on DeviantArt and stuff, and we just kind of like threw this avatar together. And it was at that point that I was just like, something just kind of clicked, and I was just like felt super happy, and I felt like it was kind of just matched my energy at the time, how I was feeling, and yeah, I just really enjoyed running around with the pacifier and stuff like that. I just age regress. For me, probably a bit before 2019, but I think it really clicked like the end of 2019 once I found the first avatar. I think that's like, I think before then I always had like a bit of a childish mindset, you know what I mean? But it didn't really have a label or like any term sort of thing. I didn't really know anything about the community or like what it was all for or anything like that until I met friends and stuff on here that it gave me explanations and told me like actual terms for these things. And then it all kind of just all fell into place really after that. There's probably a lot of issues with and without, like outside the community as well, but the issues probably in the community, it's probably like the idea of someone trying to gatekeep someone else's little space. So people wanting to age regress in their own way, and other people trying to say that no, this is right or this is wrong, and trying to tell people how to use a safe space that's meant to be theirs in a particular way, and shaming or trying to cancel people for doing so because it doesn't kind of line up with their ideal views, and they kind of miss the point of what a little space is. That for the most part, some of us want to practice it safely. We don't want to deal with the trolls. We don't want to deal with children interacting. We just want our own little corner of the internet in VR to do, what we want, and, just run around and play how we want to play. We're not looking for trouble or anything like that. I understand it's very out of the ordinary. Like, I don't expect people to just understand things. It's kind of like any mental illness or something. Like, it's something you kind of got to have or be a part of to understand entirely. You kind of got to have a open mind and sit and observe and, really take in what's happening and talk to the individuals one-on-one. I understand for a lot of people, they have unfortunately seen some of the bad apples coming in and either posing as someone from our community, or those who have joined in the community and have used that for their own particular advantages for whatever that might be. But for what we stand for in general, and those who normally do practice it, most of us just want our own little space. Like, we don't want children around or anything like that. And we get a lot of labels that call us like pedophiles and stuff just because we have a mindset of a child, and they interpret that as we want children, which is complete opposite. We want to be the child, not be more with children, you know what I mean? It's completely different. Yeah, so it can be hard to try and portray a message or tell anyone like anything that can kind of make someone understand, because it's more like it takes a lot of time to process. It's not something that you just learn overnight. You really have to watch and observe and really get to know individuals that happen to be like this. It is very weird. It's a weird thing to do. It's a kind of a tough one because there's been moments where I've been like, oh, I'm never leaving it. But at the same time, there's been moments where I've stepped away for a year or two because sometimes it does get overwhelming. There's a lot of labels thrown around about us, and it's hard to go into public in VR chat and be able to make friends because of the stigma that's on us. So sometimes existing on here and not having to, pretend to be someone else and use alt accounts just to go hang out with other people can make playing on here a little hard sometimes, unless you are with your other communities. And that's largely why these worlds exist, so we can attract people that are more like us, even though that can be a struggle because it also attracts a lot of the wrong people and a lot of people that want to target us. So we kind of got to sit here and pick through and try and find the people that are like us out in these public worlds. And it can be kind of rough. Like, we can have some pretty bad days just trying to make friends on here. And a lot of us go through a lot on the daily and a lot of threats. We see a lot of insults and a lot of stuff that people post on their videos here. So as for the future, I would hope that I would still be here, but I can't say for certain. Right now, I'm happy where we're at. We're trying to build back up and trying to make this place a little bit more safer again, to bring back ideally what it was intended for, and that was for us adults to be what we want to be and do it in a place that is safe and be able to do our meetups and meet together and have a place where we can form as a community, whether it's in our privates or we're meeting new people in a similar mindset in publics, like a place where we can just find each other basically. Like in VR chat, there's so many communities, and it's like even the LGBTQ, the Trans Academy, they all got places where they can find people that are similar to them, that are going through the same things in their life. But unfortunately for age regression, trying to have that on VR chat with the amount of targets that we get, it is very hard. It's very hard to find our place here without having to be like, oh, your mindset's of a child, you shouldn't be here, you're wrong, that's disgusting. And they make all these comments like constantly. Like I'll sit here and try and moderate a lobby, and it's the same people all day. I'll kick out multiple times all day, and that's what I mean. Like it is so hard to try and make friends. But as for me, I plan to be here for a lot longer. Well, as long as I can tolerate it. As for other members of the community, it really depends as a whole. Like I see people that leave for a while because it does get too much for them. Some people break down, some people start saying they want to, do like not exist anymore. Like some people, it just gets too much. And we're lucky we haven't had cases where people have acted on those thoughts. But the way that people do come in, they got to realize they are talking to people that sometimes aren't in the best of mental states. And a lot of them are here to try and escape that. It's a way of escaping their adult life and trying just to feel away from that and just forget about it. But yeah, for a lot of people that do come in here, it is an escape one way or another. Like they don't want to be an adult in that mindset in that particular moment. I would advocate strongly, if you want to be a part of the community and what we say does resonate with you, to be open and be yourself. Like, make sure you're 18. Try join communities that are at least 18 plus if you're an adult. If you aren't an adult, I would honestly talk to your school counselors, talk to your parents. Get some advice from those first before deciding that age regression is something that is for you to help you, deal with your issues IRL, because there is better coping mechanisms that you could probably learn better skills. But if you are under 18 and it is something that you find helps you, like I can't be the one to tell you not to do it, but I will say that you should do it within your age groups. Don't enter adult spaces here on VR chat. We all know VR chat's notorious for bad people. It is online, so you will find people that that won't have your best interest at heart. So if you are under 18, make sure you're with your age group. Don't mix with the older people here on VR chat and in this community in general. Just be safe and be yourself at the end of the day. Don't get deterred by the bullies. Don't let the bullies win. Just, yeah, find your place and be safe with it.
Oh, if anybody sees this, and especially if they play VR chat, they're gonna know who I am. I'm Badger. Hi. I think with any community, there's always going to be issues to address. I'm not a part of the community, but I'll man, it's so weird to say. It's just like a lot of things. I got into a conversation about like phantom pain today in this game and like a lot of stuff. And I'll say this, VR chat is a wonderful outlet for people to let their imaginations run wild. And if there's an outlet for that to be done, human beings will take full advantage of said system. Brought to you by Badger. Age play away, kiddies, I guess. I don't know. Age play away, you odd adults. Power to you, though. It's not a universe I understand, so probably not. You'd have to pay me. You're weird. You know you're weird. Let your freak flag fly, but don't be unsafe and burn pedophiles.
I mean, it do make sense
I
since,
got 2 people
like,
in that one.
what I do is I come in, I watch some of them with the kink worlds, like the diaper
Dude, no one's
squads
trying to
name one.
fly.
I usually go in there,
Oh,
just
you're
mess
trying to
around with them,
fly?
fuck around.
Mhm.
But now they're locking down, it makes sense now, but it just gives it like an extra layer of protection for like pedophiles to get into. It's so useless since everybody can get in, but
Mhm.
you have to look at it from their point of view. Every single layer of protection helps, since it is a trauma response, in my opinion, which is my opinion. I think it's a bit weird. I think you should talk to people, talk to your friends, but everybody has their own different trauma response, even if I find that horrific and disgusting. Someone asks me about that, I'll probably like move them away so I don't offend everyone. I'll just tell how I feel. If they're fine with that, they're fine with that, but I'm not gonna go out there spouting my opinions unless it's like a sexual thing, like you're glorifying children. Then you just actually just need to behead
Let's go in here, Stormy.
Oh, yeah, no, I've been able to interview quite a couple of them before the world had a password on, and I'm just getting both sides of the fence, seeing what folks think. Obviously, a lot of folks have their own, reserved opinions, and it's okay. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah. I mean, I've been here before, like the original map got banned. Like you were here for before the original map, like the map where the big VR chat trollers went into. You seen the videos, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Like I was there, I was part of the trolling community. I was messing around with people. Then it was kind of fun. Then you could like, cause the part is I couldn't care less if it's a trauma response. It's internet. There's always gonna be someone ruining your day. And back then I used to have like lots of fun just messing around with people. But like with the pin pad, it makes sense. But going back to my original point, it's a bit weird to have this, even though if it's just for like little space, since private worlds do exist.
That is very true.
Getting kicked is
And-
crazy for sure. Oh, did
and
you
he's
see on my
gone.
thing? Oh, I'm gonna take him in there.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you enjoyed that journalist piece. It is my first time posting a big one like this, but either way, I hope we learned something new, or if it's old information we've known, at least we got to retouch on it again. Either way, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching it to the end, to be honest with you. And hopefully we learned something new. Either way, thank you very much, and I can't wait to work on some more and hopefully post some more. I do know I'm oh, looks like the bar's opening up. I know that it takes me a long time, given that, you know, I'm a really busy person, but either way, I really love diving into these topics. And yeah, I expect to see more, and I will definitely see you on the flip side. Don't forget to stay hydrated and to stay nourished. Unless you want to end up like me, nothing but bones. So, I will catch you later.